Welcome everybody here tonight. We've got a fairly short meeting tonight, but we do have a budget presentation, so that might take a little time. So if you'll please join me in a moment of silence. Amen. If you'll please stand with me and face the American flag and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So our first item is our conflict of interest statement. Al, could you lead us in that, please?
Yes, Mayor. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes in the town of Mocksville Ethics Policy, I ask each elected person if anything on the agenda causes a conflict for you, actual, potential, or perceived conflict of interest. If so, please speak up now and tell the board that you have a conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. So with no conflict of interest, we'll move on down to adopting the agenda. Before you tonight's is our agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda?
Move that we approve that.
Motion from Rob and second from Carl. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Next item on the agenda is our citizen comments. If there's anybody here tonight that would like to speak about anything that might be on their mind, you've got 3 minutes to step up to the podium and do so. Matt, you got nothing? Good.
I love working here, that's what I can say.
So no citizen comments for tonight, so we'll move on to our next item. There's no public hearings. We do have some communications from boards, commissions, and agencies. First of all, we have a declaration declaring the month of April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month, and a proclamation declaring March 8th as a day for narcolepsy awareness. We'll let it be entered into the minutes that these proclamations were recognized. We will also have a proclamation declaring April 25th, 2025 as the Town of Mocksville Arbor Day, and that will be held on Friday, April the 25th at Rich Park, and trees will be planted. So we will read a proclamation that day. So if you'd like to hear a proclamation, please show up at Rich Park that day. And moving right along, we'll move to our budget presentation for fiscal year 25-26. Lynn Trivety.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board, the public. I'm excited about this information that will be presented this evening. Unfortunately, the budget retreat this year had to be canceled due to sickness and calendar obligations, but the town is on schedule and presenting the first budget draft this evening. Budget notebooks have been created for the board, which includes department head PowerPoints and their needs, along with roundtable discussions pertaining to decision making, a place that will allow the board to make notes and write down their concerns or questions as we continue the budget process the next few months. The next few slides are the town's vision, mission, and value statements, and yes, they are repeated during the budget process because they are the foundation on which all business is conducted and decisions are made. So with that being said, the vision statement symbolizes what we want to achieve in the future. It also allows us to make decisions that align with our goals. It motivates our employees and reminds them of what they are working towards, and it attracts people. Our mission statement outlines the town goals for customers and stakeholders. It helps us stay focused and to stay on track, making good decisions. And it helps us clarify our purpose. Our value statement it informs customers, employees of the town's most important principles. It can help guide important internal decisions. It can help the town attract top talent. It can help ensure transparency, and it can help increase revenue. Our core values symbolize the beliefs and principles that define the town's identity. Our 12 strategic goals are progressing well, with 65% of the 130 action items already completed. While 35% of the action items remain, this reflects our ongoing commitment to continuous improvement and achieving long-term success. We are focused on maintaining momentum and ensuring the remaining actions are successfully addressed to further advance our 48 objectives. In June, you approved the town strategic goals and action items. I've put all this data in your budget books for documentation. This will be helpful to the new manager. I had the department heads not include their strategic goals this year, including myself, in their PowerPoints, but wanted you to know that we all value these strategic goals, which makes us accountable for our actions. I wanted to change the budget process up a little bit, so I created something new called roundtable discussions. These roundtable discussions are in your books, and we will be discussing these as the budget process continues in our budget workshops. This allows the board to engage in open conversation on specific topics, everyone equally sharing their perspectives and ideas. Board decisions will help finance put a second draft balanced budget together for the April meeting. Will benefit the new manager in the budget planning process. And your responses can change until you vote on the budget in June. Our budget discussions, our workshops will include nonprofit funding, regular or special call meetings for budget planning, your budget priorities, paving, staff compensation in the fire department, mayor and board compensation, staff compensation, which HR will present, recycling garbage, water and sewer rates, downtown community center and farmers market outdoor shelter performance area, which involves a state grant, and the tax reevaluation. Of course, to me, it's all about the numbers, forecasting and analyzing, but it is what all of you decide. The new town manager and I will need the board's guidance and lots of feedback to keep the budget process flowing. So I'm going to start with the enterprise fund, which is completely separate from the general fund budget. We have a well-structured financial plan in place for our upcoming projects, and this is one of them, with a combination of state funding and grants and town funds supporting the key fractured improvements. The line in yellow is the town's portion of this particular project, the North Elevated Tank. This project is part of our 5-year capital improvement plan and will focus on enhancing water service and emergency response capabilities, including water system upgrades, tank improvements, and the booster pump station enhancements. This approach assures that we address critical needs while maintaining physical responsibility and maximizing available resources. This $1 million was my main focus this budget year in the enterprise fund, so if cuts were needed to be made, this is not one we can cut. We did receive some good news the last week of January that there's some ARP funds left over, meaning from towns and counties in North Carolina that did not spend all of their money. So Willis Engineers has submitted a letter for additional funds, $784,000, to the Division of Water and Infrastructure. I'm hoping to hear during the budget process the reward of these funds. Keep your fingers crossed because this will go towards the $1 million for this project. And if you have any questions during the slides, be sure to stop me, otherwise I'll just keep on going. As you know, back in April of '24, Raffatellis presented the results of their water and sewer rates and financial planning study to the town commission. Based on that study, there are two scenarios being presented. Number one, which is an increase of 6% to water and 10% for sewer in fiscal year 25-26, which corresponds with the pricing structure on the table shown in red. In contrast, scenario 2 also includes a 6% increase in water, but a 14% increase in sewer 25-26. This scenario offers a slightly higher increase for sewer compared to scenario 1. I found this study pretty complicated, even though I was part of getting the requested reports and attending the meetings. But what I got from this study is that it's going to help with the future of the town. Without raising rates, the town would not be able to continue the water and sewer maintenance and future projects, and it would lead us to having to raise rates in the future higher than what we're discussing now. Increasing the rates annually, according to the study, it's allowed the town to stay financially viable for the new water plant that will go online in 26. In 26 and 27, we'll create a new budget line item for purchasing the water from Davie County. I know the question was asked last year, establishing a higher rate for large water and sewer users of the system. And I attached that memo that was response to that question and placed it in your notebooks with these water rates. So we can discuss that at our budget workshop.
Hey, Lynn, I just have a question. The difference, if you go from the 10% to the 14%, what exactly, I know that's 4 more percent, but what would that do? I mean,
If you, can I,
we'll address that at the budget
yes,
workshop. Okay.
yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, we'll make a note that that's a question
Okay.
and make sure we have that answer.
Okay, thank you.
So this is a snapshot of the enterprise fund. As you can see, I have a balanced budget. I've not appropriated any fund balance. The increase is $380,000. This includes the 6% and 10%. I've included that rate increase. This is the second year of our system developmental fees. This includes water and sewer tap fees. If you go to the expenditure side, water operations is $1.6 million, which I've included a proposed staff compensation. Sewer operations, $2.4 million. I've included proposed staff compensation. The capital projects, $1.3 million, which includes the north elevated tank, the $1 million that I just had highlighted in yellow. The water line replacement program, engineering fees, utility cuts, contracts and insurance, inflationary increases, health and property insurance, supplies, utilities, and fuel. And I will adjust accordingly. Now, this first draft for the enterprise fund is budgeted, so I would adjust accordingly after you make any kind of decisions as we go through the process. And then one thing I wanted to tell you was that EnviroLink contract, they suggested a 5% increase, and I negotiated a 4% increase and waiting on that in writing. So is there any questions that I could write down for the enterprise fund so far? Especially if you could think of any on the water rates that, we could bring back to the workshop. You know, if you think of any, you know, we'll write them down tonight and we can bring them back to the workshop and then we'll have them. Otherwise, we'll move on to the general fund. So I'm gonna start with Parks and Grounds capital request. These 5 items total $166,500. The details and notes and justifications are in your budget notebooks, and all these requests are included in the first draft. Public Works capital request. The first 4 items total $200,000. The detail and notes and justifications are in your notebooks. The paving is a part of your roundtable discussions in your books, and the streets Brian proposed are listed with the pricing, and they all total the $153,000. And the paving study was done in 2023, and we've not paved anything in 2 years. And all these items are included in the first draft. The fire department capital request. The 7 items total $159,980. The details and justifications are in your notebooks, and all these items are included in the first draft. Frank, would you like to address the board on this request?
Sure. The personnel request that I'm asking for this year is to replace, the shift position that we took for CJ's, the daytime slot. He has helped tremendously as far as having a supervisor there about every day. But taking that position from shift, we have one shift now that there's only one person assigned to, so that, of course, is a safety issue, and, so I'm asking to replace that one back.
And that, and that request is built into the first draft. Moving on to community development. A kid zone at the North Main Street Park, estimated $40,000. The detailed and notes are in your budget notebook, and this is included in the first draft. I'm gonna let Jeanette speak on this vision that could be no cost to the town.
We like no cost.
Yeah, and then you tell me when to go to the next slide.
Sure.
Oh, we really don't need this.
So what you see up here basically is an open air stage is what they call it. I know that you have this in your books overall. Basically, what I'm looking at is trying to create an open space in the area that's not going to be in competition with the amphitheater that is down in Davie County overall, but at the same time allows us basically to bring in all of the resources that we're utilizing and that we're providing for the folks out in the town. Right now, currently, whenever we have our event, these are the things that I actually have to go through. And looking at the stage, I've looked to see how much it would cost to actually buy our own stage versus renting a stage. It would be $150,000, and that's on the low end to get a stage, and that does not include the sound equipment at all whatsoever. It doesn't include the staff that you have to pay for, and it also does not include a place to store it, which we don't have a place to store it, and it's huge. I found out that Myrtle Beach just went out of business of keeping a stage. They gave theirs back, and they're building one, so trying to get it didn't work out, sorry. But looking at overall, we pay $4,500 every single time we actually get a stage. Now, right now, it's about 3 to 4 times a year, unless we actually have a band that's a little bigger. We try to keep that at a minimum, but it keeps on going up. It was at $4,000, it went to a little bit more, now it's at $45,000 this year overall. The other thing that it does happen is it inconveniences all of our residents and a lot of our merchants. Whenever we have a concert on the square, or if we have a concert out here, I have to close down 120 parking spots. And we don't have any place for folks to park, and they really get upset. The residents kind of know that that's part of living downtown, but the merchants don't really get happy about it, and a lot of the patrons that come out are not happy because they can't find parking spots to come to their favorite restaurants at a time. We also pay $8,000 a year to Davie County Sheriff's Department for them to block those streets and actually man them overall, and that would go away as well. If you can look in there and you can see we had about $650,000, which I believe actually was $750, that we were looking at to build a farmer's market. So I'd like to use this open air stage to actually house the farmer's market, the actually movies in the park, and also do the concerts at the square. If we do all of those within that area, it would not only save us money from all of the areas that we're utilizing, it would also give us one community space to actively keep all our concerts and all the events. And when you do that, overall, you would save on any of the porta potties that we have to actually rent, which is about $300 each time. We actually can bring folks in there for parties or events or anything that you wanted to do overall. It also gives us a common area, so I don't have to change our banners or anything at any time, because it'll be on an electronic board and on the outside of the stage. And folks would just know when this would be happening overall. So that's where I am right now, just looking at this proposal. It's just a wish, and I'm just kind of, I've been here 7 months, and I'm already asking for something. Don't you love it? But it is. Now, if you look up there, you can see when we do all of our concerts on the square, movies in the park, you see the farmer's market, and you see the festivals. They all would be housed under this one location, which would make it a whole lot easier overall. And that's what it would look like there. So my question for all of you, basically, at this point in time is, if at this point in time this is approved, and we actually have the funding for it, where would you want me to put it? Would you want it at the end of West Market, or would you want it at the end of Junkers or Energy United overall? So I just need your help in just kind of understanding where your vision is for this particular project itself. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. If you have any questions, again, we have the open sessions at that point in time. If you can write any questions down for me as well.
Thanks, Jeanette.
Thank you, thank you.
Where's this funding
Thank you.
coming?
Moving on to human resources, budget request. Employee compensation. Emily will address the board.
So I have 4 things that I would like to propose. The first one being propose a merit for full-time employees. This would be on a tiered scale. So we would have outstanding at 3%, very good at 2.5%, and good at 2%. Secondly, I would like to propose an increase for our part-time employees. We currently have part-time staff in fire and parks and grounds, and that would be a 2% hourly rate increase. Thirdly, I propose a salary increase for the board. For commissioners, that would be $750 paid monthly, and for the mayor, it'd be $900 paid monthly. Fourth, a proposed grade increase for full-time shift firefighters. They would be moving from grade 22 to grade 23, and that would be an annual salary increase of $2,000, and raise the current full-time shift employee salary by the same amount to prevent a salary compression.
So this is in your budget notebooks with notes and justifications. All 4 of these items are included in the first draft, and these are part of your roundtable discussions for the workshop. The next one Emily's going to discuss is just informational for information purposes, but it is in our budget.
Okay. So this is in regards to the North Carolina retirement system. So the retirement benefits are funded by 3 ways. Member contributions, which are 6%, which would be the employees. Employer employer contributions, and investment returns. So employer contributions do change and they have continually increased. They are based on a percentage of member compensation and they are determined each year. So currently right now, the town's portion that we pay per employee is 13.65%. As of right now, we don't have the new fiscal year's rate yet, so hopefully we'll get that soon, but they're still working on it. The anticipated contribution for the town will be 14.39. So as you can see, there's a trend of course, increasing.
Thank you. For administration, capital projects, we are hoping to put new windows in, here at the town hall, the top level and the bottom level. We got 3 quotes and, 19,000, is what our capital project's gonna cost. A very important topic this year to hear and discuss, and this will be a part of your roundtable discussions at your workshop. And what is revenue neutral? Revenue neutral is when a taxing jurisdiction budgets the exact same amount of property tax revenue in dollars for the upcoming budget year as they did for the current property tax year. For example, if a taxing entity uses $1 million of property taxes and revenue in 25, being revenue neutral means they plan to use $1 million in 26 as well. Sometimes this can get complicated, so I thought, well, let's do a definition and explain what revenue neutral is. So as you can see, I'm going to use the cursor here. The base value is 1.2 billion for 24-25, and that's at 29 cents. For 25-26, it's an increase. All right, so let's see. The base value for this year, this current year, is 1.2 million at 29 cents. So after the reval, it went to 1.6 billion, 25-26, which is an increase of 344 million base value. If you decide to go to revenue neutral, this would not allow for the natural growth, and the new tax rate would be 0.2289. If you want to allow for that natural growth increase of 4.87%, that would reflect the tax rate of 0.24, which would be an increase of $182,000. So there's options here. Option 1, you could leave the tax rate at 29 cents, which is an estimated increase of $1 million. And the first draft that I've presented tonight is leaving it at the 29 cents because I don't know any decisions that you're thinking about. Option 2, revenue neutral, you could go the 0.22, but if you go that revenue neutral, you lose that natural growth down here, the 4.87%. Option 3, you can meet in the middle between the 29 and the 24, and that 1 penny equals 151,000. Each penny is 151,000. And this will be a part of your discussions at the workshops. Any questions on this page? So the budgetary estimations for 24-25 show a stable and a reliable foundation for for revenue generation. In 25-26, the projections reflected a strong assessed value and a high collection rate, ensuring revenue for the upcoming year. This estimation accounts for a tax reevaluation year and has a slight estimated reduction due to the 3% appeal loss. So this is what is taking place right now, is this appeal loss. When I was meeting with the tax administrator, we had a couple of meetings. We had first put 15% here. But then after he met with his board and everything, we decided the 3% was good. So yet the overall base value and collection rate remain the same. Both the years demonstrate financial stability with a reliable tax rate, reinforcing the ability to support essential services and infrastructure. This information comes from Davie County. This is how I budget the tax numbers every year. And this is, do you have any questions on this particular slide? Okay. So with this election expense is a one-time expense every 2 years, and we put $5,000. So it's something to keep in mind as our financial planning for this line item every couple of years. This is a new line item this year. Tax incentives are a positive step towards economic growth and increased local employment. The full financial impact of this incentive will be continuously monitored, and we will work to ensure that the town's physical health remains stable while maximizing the long-term benefits of this incentive. So the first year, it's 176, almost 177,000. That's already in the first draft. And then there's the second year and the third year incentive. This graph shows the fluctuations in the interest rates for the North Carolina Capital Management Trust from 2018 till now. Last year was a great year, and we've tried to invest all we can invest. And now we've been told that it's going to start decreasing with forecasts by capital management suggesting interest rates might decrease from 3.9 to 3.4, down from the current rate, which is 4.28. We're watching these interest rates closely, and will increase or decrease the revenues as we see fit during the next few months. The town has the option to continue absorbing the cost of garbage and recycling, or consider bi-monthly increase of $4.86 to offset the difference. Republic Services plans to have an increase of 5.2% this next coming year. The increase to the town of Mocksville will be $17.83 per resident monthly, $35.66 bi-monthly, and at this time we're charging residents $30.80 bi-monthly. I added the expense increase to this first draft budget, but I did not change the revenues to reflect the increase, because you'll have to make the decision whether to increase the trash and recycle by $4.86. This new contract was approved in 24-25. And this will be part of your workshop discussions. So the snapshot of general fund, we have a balanced budget. I did not appropriate any fund balance in this first draft. I will adjust accordingly as y'all make decisions for the next few months. So far, general fund has an increase of $939,000. The sales tax is staying stable. Interest on investments are decreasing. And the ad valorem tax revow, that's why the increase is higher. On the expenditure side, this includes the fire department, one additional employee. We're maintaining, fire department's capital reserve fund, for the fire truck that'll be, picked up in a couple of years, and the land, which is $300,000 a year that we put in this, capital reserve. Inflationary increases, health and property insurance, supplies and utilities and fuel, garbage and recycle, updates to zoning ordinance and comprehension plan, Avgol tax incentive, all the equipment replacement that was mentioned, facility improvements, which is the town hall windows, the kids zone at the park, staff compensation including the board, street paving. So that first draft includes all of that. So the budget priorities, we always want to increase unassigned fund balance. We're already in the first stages of the sidewalk connectivity project, approved and engineered to do the design and the bidding out. The application agreement has been completed and approved for the carbon reduction plan in hopes of contributing to some of the construction of the sidewalks, which is Duke Street. We must spend the dollars by May of '26. And the good news is I spoke with Jessica about our $4.9 million state grant and asked if we had available funds left, could we use them for this sidewalk connectivity project? She said yes, as long as I submitted an update to the scope of work to account for the changes in the project. Street paving is a priority. Currently working on identifying some land for future satellite fire stations. Unfortunately, the land we were trying to purchase fell through, and Frank is still researching that. The comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance review are currently broken up into 2 budget years. The zoning ordinance is budgeted currently in this year, but the RFP needs to be completed and sent out. If time does not permit, with new management coming in, it will go to the fund balance. And the first draft includes both of these projects, even though I don't think we can get them both done in 1 year. And then Jeanette discussed in her PowerPoint vision for outdoor shelter. And this is budgeted in the $4.9 million state grant. We're just looking for approval to get proposals with whatever your vision might be. So this is the state-directed grant, the $4.9 million grant that we're currently working with. And I told some of you I'd give you a mid-year update. We're committed to enhancing downtown Mocksville, and it's truly evident through the successful completion of key projects, including property purchases and improvements that will benefit the community for years to come. The continued investment in pedestrian safety, infrastructure upgrades, and public spaces demonstrates a forward-thinking approach to growth and development. These efforts not only improve the visual and functionality of our downtown, but also create vibrant spaces for residents and visitors to enjoy. So we started out at $4.9 million, and we purchased the Energy United property, which is there. It shows the $2 million, and that's complete. The downtown pedestrian crossing improvements, which is North Main and Gaither. All equipment's here, and they should be starting the mast arms and everything this week. So we've spent $308,000, and I have that available out of that line right there. The downtown wayfinding signs are completed now. Everything's paid for, and that's the total that for those signs. The downtown sidewalk and curb improvements. we're bidding this out along with the streetscape project. So that's all I've spent out of this line at the moment. The downtown community center and farmers market outdoor performance area. That total that I've spent there is all the costs that, I remodeled the building across the street, plus the $60,000 that we paid for DFI for the study, the market analysis, for the vision on this, Energy United property. And the $928,000 is what's left out of that budget. So that's where, the budget proposed the performance area out of that 900,000 there. And then the downtown street light replacement, the first phase is already completed, if I'm not mistaken, Jeanette. And they're getting ready to start on phase 2. And that's how much we spent so far for the street lights, and what's available. So I don't know, there was over $1 million budgeted for the street lights. I don't know exactly if we're gonna have any availability, but right now we have 1.9 million available at this moment. And all the interest that I earn off of this grant money goes back into the project. So as of January, I have almost $106,000 of interest that will go back to this project. So is there any questions on this that you might not understand or anything like that? If
So
not,
I do have one question. On the downtown community center and farmers market, does that have to be spent by 2026?
June of 26.
Okay, so if we're gonna do something like that,
That's that
Yes.
same state money.
okay.
Just like the Duke Street, that money, it has to be spent by May of 26. And so,
That would be where we could pick up that other sidewalk money too, to finish out Mocksville.
now, they changed it, they extended it, which was a good thing. They extended it to 26, but if any of this, let's say we didn't spend that 1.9, then I have to send it back.
Let's spend it.
So my favorite slide is next. Oh, well, it costs $2,000 to audit this grant. I forgot. Okay, so now my favorite slide is next, which is our healthy fund balance. And you heard from the auditor back in June that our fund balance was healthy and that we're at 160%. I'm grateful for that, excited. And then the last slide is I wanted to show y'all a 5-year fund balance slide to tell you where we were in 20 and where we're now. And then if you have any questions or comments, I appreciate your time.
Any other questions for Lynn on this? So if you do have questions, write them down. We'll discuss them at the budget workshop.
That's great.
So moving on down, next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. We just need a motion to approve the minutes from prior meetings. You know, a motion from Justin. Second from Jenny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. No old business. Going under new business. Item number A, consider approving the audit contract and engagement letter for the town of Mocksville. Eddie Carrick. Lynn?
Yes, this is a yearly contract, and it's in the amount of $18,000, not to exceed 20, for the auditor.
Okay. Any questions for Lynn on this?
Move that we approve the
A
budget.
motion from Rob and a second from Carl. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Item number B, consider approving the audit contract and engagement letter for the Mocksville Tourism Development Authority with Eddie Carrick.
Yes, this is the audit contract for the Mocksville Tourism Board in the amount of $1,500.
Is that, can we get the same contract for the other one, or
Afraid not.
I like this price better? So we just need a motion from Justin,
Second.
Second from Rob. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number C, consider a resolution in support of HB 24, an act to restore the authority for local governments to initiate downzoning. Al Benshaw.
I like to stand where I can see y'all and look you in the eye. I'm gonna go over here. I wanted to have a 55-slide PowerPoint presentation, but I have this handout instead that's coming around. You recall when Lydia Lavelle was here in January, she discussed, I need one of those, sorry. She discussed Senate Bill 382 or Session Law 2024-57, which eliminated the authority of all county and municipal governments in North Carolina to downzone property. And this handout is an explanation of that bill. Downzoning is any action that reduces or limits the potential use of land. That's typically done through your zoning ordinance or your subdivision ordinance. To give an example, if the town board wanted to increase the side yard setback in the R10 zoning district by 1 foot, you could not do it. Okay, an example from another town in Davie County, that town wanted to combine 2 multifamily zoning districts. They felt they only needed one. They had 1 zoning district that allowed 8 units an acre and 1 zoning district that allowed 12 units an acre. They wanted to combine those and have a zoning district that allowed 8 units an acre. They stopped, did not adopt that because of S382, because the property that was zoned 12 units an acre would then have a potential claim against the town for damages. So, what you have in your packet is a resolution asking the General Assembly to repeal the downzoning bill. And there are multiple bills in the General Assembly to accomplish that, one of which is for the state as a whole. The other 9 or 10 are for 1 county or 2 counties at a time. So it will be very difficult to adopt a new zoning and subdivision ordinance in the future if SB 382 stands on the books, because you won't be able to change anything in there that takes away any property right, any ability to develop, reduces it in any way at all in a new zoning ordinance. And it's very difficult to tweak a zoning ordinance and not create some change. Another thing the bill does is it prevents changing the zoning so that any more nonconformities are created. And a nonconformity is a situation where there's an existing use of a property or a lot size, and the ordinance has changed, and it doesn't conform to the new ordinance. Now, it can exist forever. And under many circumstances, it can be repaired and rebuilt. But the SB 382 says it's a violation of the statute if you inadvertently create a nonconformity, which is very hard not to do when you're adopting a new zoning ordinance. So this resolution is to ask the General Assembly to undo what they did in December when they adopted something they thought was a good idea, but they didn't, in my opinion, only understand the unintended consequences.
So Al, what was their reasoning? I'm just curious what brought this on.
Oh, I've heard some stories. This is a family meeting, so I can tell you, the story that I've heard the most often is the city of Durham did something to a gas station, changed the zoning somehow in a way that the owner didn't like, and he or she just happened to have the ear of a powerful legislator, and they put this change in the hurricane disaster relief bill that was adopted in December 2024. That bill is 131 pages of 130 pages of hurricane relief, and this zoning change was the 131st page. Nobody knew it was coming. The respective lobbyists and interest groups didn't have time to talk to the General Assembly about it.
So what you need from the board today then is is to adopt the resolution in support of HB 24 and act to restore the authority of the local governments to initiate downzoning.
That's the suggestion.
Any questions for Al on this?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Justin and Carl, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Al. And finally, item number D, to consider town manager's contract. Is that Lynn?
No, we're gonna go into closed session and
that's
come
what I
back
thought.
out.
Okay. So we need to go, let's go on down to communications from town staff. Town attorney Al Benshaw.
I talked long enough already tonight, thank you.
So we'll move on to Lynn.
I've talked long enough tonight.
So Jenny, did you have anything to
I
say?
just thank you, Lynn, for all this hard work getting this book together, because I got to sit down and really read it, and, and then we're gonna have the round table.
Good.
So I appreciate, and all the department heads,
Okay, thank you,
appreciate
Jenny.
everything.
I agree, and thank you, Lynn. That was very pointed and concise, and I appreciate that.
Carl?
Great job on the budget book. I think it's gonna help us greatly to move along through the process.
Yeah, Lynn, great job. Best budget I've seen since I've been on this board. I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
Johnny?
I also thank you, Lynn, for the great job. One of the best budgets I overlooked since I've been involved a few years. And also, thank y'all for your hard work, all of you do.
Thank you. I will just remind everybody, March 15th is the Shamrock Run. It's a 5K run in downtown Mocksville. So, so come out and enjoy the day, and I appreciate everybody being a part of that. And then I will entertain a motion to go into closed session to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
So moved.
A motion from Rob.
Second.
Second from Jenny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. You guys are dismissed. Thank you for coming tonight. Back in session, item number D on the agenda, consider town manager's contract. We need a motion to adopt the town manager.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adopt the contract to hire our next town manager for the town of Mocksville, Mr. Lee Rollins.
A motion from Carl, a second from Jenny and Johnny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. So Lee Rollins will be our new town manager. Any other business to come before the board? Not, we just do motion to adjourn. Motion from Rob, second from Justin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.